what I'd like to do is just kind of give you a little briefing. We talked last week at the seminar, for everybody that was at the seminar, about defining your personal mission statement. And that really is the foundation of your core values, what your goals are, what your vision is, and where you're going. It's basically the map. If you're the captain of the ship, it is the map of where your ship is heading. And we really tried to define that. And I hope that you guys spent some time defining that over the last week. And part of the problem, and something we're going to talk about today, part of the problem is that many of you didn't finish that. So it's still sitting on the back burner. It's still not properly defined. It's still like, well, it's the life of indecision. And I'm going to tell you, so indecision and poverty live in the same house. They really do. So this is what we're going to talk about today. So these are the 10 hacks to really give your life and your practice that boost, that kick in the proverbial rear end to get yourself going in the right direction. Now, what is a hack? Well, a hack is just, it's a term used quite a lot lately, especially in younger generation. It's just a simple mindset shift or a simple action you can take to get massive results. So that's what we're going to talk about today, the 10 simple actions that you can make anywhere in your life to get massive results that will drastically improve your practice. Let's share the screen here. So 10 practice hacks for success. Number one, mindset before practice model. So we talked about this at our seminar. We talked about creating that mindset shift. So creating that mission statement, that is all mindset. It comes from within you. It comes from what you're trying to deliver. It comes from your particular action steps to go towards the vision you want to see in the world. So it all is based on your core beliefs, and that should define your practice model. So if you're in practice without a mission statement, then essentially what you're practicing in a life of chaos. There's no consistency, and your success will be extremely limited because you don't know where you're going. It's like you're captaining a ship without a compass. You're out in the ocean. You have no idea in what direction you're going, and it's all based on congruency. So we talked a lot about congruency in the last little while. You can't offer to anybody what you don't own. You have to really own whatever, if it's the principle of chiropractic, if it's the technique you use, if it's whatever it is, your verbiage, the way that you deliver, the procedures in your office, the technique, everything that you do, you have to truly own it so much that you're willing to use it on your most loved people in your life, your family, your staff, your team. So you're doing the same thing for them that you would do for anybody else that you would see that would come in to see you. So you can't offer what you don't own. And it's objective versus subjective. We have to have an objective measurement to measure what we are delivering. So if you're in your office and you don't have an objective measurement that you have articulately communicated with people, and you have them understanding what the goal is for their care, there has to be some sort of goal other than the relief of symptoms. There has to be some sort of goal other than the relief of symptoms for you to have a successful practice. And it doesn't matter what technique you use or what niche you're in chiropractic. And I have the privilege of talking to all kinds of people in different niches, whether they practice neuropathy or decompression or functional medicine or whatever that is, subluxation-based practice, very vitalistic practice. Whatever niche, whatever technique you have, there has to be an objective measurement that you have communicated to that patient, that you are monitoring. You've measured at the beginning, you found that there was a problem, you've communicated that problem to the patient, that problem is the cause, and you are now correcting the cause to restore the body's ability to heal through the care that you're providing, and you're measuring the correction of that cause. So whether it's x-ray, nerve scans, whatever you use, there has to be a system in place to communicate that objective measurement. That is a key thing to practice success. Simple scales, complex fails. Simple scales, complex fails. Well, what does that mean? Well, chiropractors and obviously, being in the profession now for 35 years, I practiced for 30 years, and having gone through school, I started school in 1989. I'd had a little bit of chiropractic experience before that, but not much. And so I've learned a lot. I've got to talk to a lot of different chiropractors. It's interesting. Chiropractors think differently than the average people. And you guys, you have to admit that is that we come from a place, if you're in practice, if you're seeing patients, you're in the healing mindset. And when you're in the healing mindset, it's tough to also be in a business mindset. It is very tough. And this is why many chiropractors have a hard time talking to people about money. They have a hard time assigning value to what they deliver. They have a hard time saying no to somebody who can't afford care. So that's two different types of mindsets. So we have to make sure that we define those two different mindsets and almost segregate the times that we were in our healing mindset versus the time that we need to be in our business mindset. So when I say simple scales, complex fails, what that means is that your healing mindset takes over from the time you're out of school. You just want to help people. You just want to get your hands on people. You want to see people get better. You want to see them out of pain, see their lives get better. That's healing mindset. Use that to your advantage. Put that into your practice. Start seeing people as much as you can, as often as you can, not even worrying about the result, to get good at the communication, to get good at the delivery of your craft. And if there are times that you're standing around in your practice, what we need to do is we need to talk about systems to get more people in there. And whether it's a case of serving people at a very, very low fee or serving people even for free, so that you can start to feel like what it feels. You can experience what it feels to get really busy, to be busting at the seams, to have a waiting room full of people that are lined up, to have people out the door because you're so busy. And that's something that we need to experience, because you have to experience that before you can advance into throwing everything else into your office. So, and this is why I say complex fails. Some of us haven't gotten to the point of experiencing that busyness. And we start to say, oh, well, maybe I need to add this different modality in. Maybe I need to add decompression tables. Maybe I need to bring in an acupuncturist. Maybe I need to bring in a massage therapist. So you're thinking about all these different extra streams of revenue, but that totally dilutes that healing mindset. So we got to work on the healing mindset and delivering the healing mindset so you're busting at the seams busy, and then the business mindset will fall into place after that. Number 3, create demand. Create demand for what you're doing. So this is one of the biggest things that I would say we had great success with this in our practice. And like I said at the seminar, we defined our mission statement to be basically to explain the principle of chiropractic, that there is an innate intelligence within every single person, and all we need to do is remove the interference by correcting subluxation in the spine to allow the body the opportunity to heal and function at its highest level. And we wanted that statement, we wanted that thought, that concept to be delivered to everybody we possibly could. So our goal was to get in front of as many people as possible. So really what that did is that created a personal brand for myself. And I was out talking to people as much as I could. Sometimes it was every night of the week. On the weekend, we had, like I said, a full-time marketing person that was setting up talks and makeovers and screenings constantly. And it wasn't to go out to get new patients. It was to go out to deliver that message. So what that did is people started recognizing me for what I stood for and what I stood against. I was very vocal about the dangers of medicine. I was very vocal about the dangers of many medications, including cholesterol medications or different types of cancer treatment or different types of injected material that was very toxic. I was very vocal about that. And so people started understanding what I stood for. Now, did everybody agree with me? No, but it created a personal brand. It created something that people could resonate with. And so I'm going to argue to say that many people came to our office not because they had pain or not because of our technique or not because of the colors on our wall or because of our logo. Many people came to our office because they felt a resonating vibration, a connection with me, with my personal brand, and that's what grew it. And I really would argue is that many of you, what you have to do is you have to take a stand for what you believe in, and you have to be very vocal about that. So what do you stand for? What do you stand against? And realize this is that all of you are experts at what you do. Like, you're experts in the delivery of chiropractic. You're experts in the assessment of subluxation. You're experts in the assessment of the cause of what is causing a lot of the symptoms and infirmities that people come in with. And you're experts in getting those areas, that those interferences, corrected through the means that you provide. So thousands of people want what you have, but they have no idea that you exist. So that's why you need to create the personal brand. So in other words, whether it's through your marketing, whether it's through getting out and doing talks, whether it's through starting to provide webinars, just get yourself known. Do a radio show, partner with a television station, get on podcasts, whatever you do to get people to know what you do, who you are, what you stand for, and what you deliver. That's what will grow your personal brand and therefore grow your practice and grow your life. The next one, DRY. So DRY stands for don't repeat yourself. So, and many of you, this is the problem. What happens is that a staff member leaves, and then you have to start all over again with a new staff member. You have to start explaining, this is how we do this. This is how we do this. This is how you book a patient. This is what you say on a phone call. This is how they use the computer. So because you haven't created the standard operating procedures, that's what SOP is, the standard operating procedures for your clinic. It's actually really easy to do. And most of you haven't done it because you think it's a big, hard task. All you do is you have a team meeting, and whether it's just one doc and one staff, all you do is you say, okay, let's start with a one-page document. Write down exactly what it is that I do on a daily basis. What happens when a new patient comes in? What happens after a new patient comes in? What happens when a day 2 comes in? What do we do on x-ray day? What day is garbage day? How do we like to leave the bathrooms at the end of the day? What do we do as far as face paper changes? It's just simple detail, and it's a living document. And then you keep adding to it over time. So your next staff meeting, sit down and ask everybody to write a one-page document on what their job duty entails. You start to put it together, and then you just keep refining it and keep refining it. And then new people come into the fold, and they get the manual, they get the living document, and then they would add their parts, and you would delete old parts. So you just constantly refine it over time. And then next thing you know, you have an office manual that is very refined, that is very specific, so people know how your office operates. So the key is that what we do is we want to just constantly tell our staff what to do and what not to do. But if we can teach principles and we share a vision to them, what we do is we empower them. And then we rely and we have faith in the fact that we've hired energetic, intelligent people, and they can bring a piece of them now to our atmosphere, to our culture, and they can contribute to that culture by adding their thoughts and their ideas to build up that culture together. And so we teach principles and share vision. Train, don't tell. Train, don't tell. So you build the system together. Number 5, and this is something, is that I'm going to say this is one of the biggest hacks. It's a personal thing that you guys have to decide on yourself where the line is drawn. And I would say be impeccable with your word. Well, what does that mean? Yes, obviously, be honest. If you say that you're going to do something, you make sure that you do it. If you tell your team members, yes, I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to start a doctor's report. I'm going to do this. I'm going to create this document, whatever. If you say you're going to do it, whatever you need to stay up all night to do it, you do it. Define your boundaries. So if you've decided that this is the avatar of patient that we want in our office, this is exactly what we're trying to attract, then we have to get to the point where no means no. If somebody's not willing to fall into that category or these criteria that you have defined, then you have to be strong enough to say no. Because for you to grow your life and grow your practice, You have to be willing to say no to things that are going to counteract that before things start to blossom and start to grow. A tree has to grow down into the ground with roots before it grows up. So just try to remember that. So have integrity, show up on time, don't be late for things. If you say you're going to have a huddle, be the first one to your huddle. Make sure you come to that huddle prepared and start under promising and over delivering, and watch what happens in your life, not just in your practice, but in your personal life, with your children, everything. So have integrity, be impeccable with your word. Number 6, smile and dial. And I'm going to give my wife credit for this one, because so in the last probably 10 years of our practice, we had 4 boys. And so Kim and I shared the duties at home. She was typically in the office when I was off, and I was in the office and she was off with the kids. So that limited our time for daycare, childcare, these types of things. So she got down to the fact that she was actually practicing 2 days a week. And in those 2 days, she would have 2 5-hour shifts in the week. And in those 2 5-hour shifts, she would see on average about 400 people. So it was a busy practice. But the reason she was so busy, she had incredible retention. And why did she have incredible retention? Well, I'm going to give her the accolade that she built a personal relationship with every single patient she had. She would be on the phone with them. No, she never missed a day 1 or day 2 phone call, but she would go to the extra mile and do phone calls after their re-examination to talk about exactly the findings, to talk about the next stages of care. She would, if somebody came in having a bad day, they would go on her call list and she would call them. So she practiced those 2 5-hour shifts, but she would actually book another 2 to 3 hours later in the week to actually go through her calls. And she knew personal lives of those people. She could basically come back to huddles and tell our staff, hey, I talked to Shirley the other day, and Shirley's granddaughter just had a baby. So Shirley's a great grandmother. So the whole team would know that Shirley, who comes in once every 2 weeks, is now a great grandmother. So guess what? Shirley comes in the next time and everybody celebrates with Shirley because she's a great grandmother. Well, that's what built the culture and built the vibration in our practice, because really it was Kim that drove that with her personal relationships with everybody. So don't be afraid to pick up the call or pick up the phone and start calling people, even if it's a random call. Hey, how are things going? They start to feel like a VIP, and that builds a long-term practice. I'm going to tell you, Kim actually got really upset because she would hardly ever get a new patient on her schedule. And she would come in and say, why am I not getting any new patients? And the staff would go, there is no room on your schedule for new patients. You need to get people to stop coming to see you so we can fit new people into your schedule. Well, that never happened because she had this great retention type of practice. So, of course, our associate or I would end up seeing the new patient. So some things that you can do to help this is, in that marketing system, you can add the pre-call in. Have the pre-call with some of these leads that are booked on your calendar, ready to come into your office, and you actually have a pre-call with them to say, hey, this is Dr. John here. I'm just phoning to introduce myself. What's going on? What made you respond to the ad? How is this affecting your life? And you start to build that relationship right off the bat before you meet them in person. And guess what happens to your practice? You start to build these relationships. People that have personal relationships with you don't leave. They never leave. So you plug up the back door, you plug up the leaky bucket. And the other thing that you can do is in your day 1, day 2, day 3 is arrange the exit interview. Just when somebody signs on for care, hey, it's great that you signed on for care. We're going to do everything we can to get to the root cause of this problem, get your spine corrected, get the curve back in your neck, whatever it is, whatever your objective outcome is. But I want to say one thing before we get started is that if you ever decide that this is not the place for you, if you ever decide to leave, I'm going to ask you to arrange an interview with me and let me know exactly where we failed you. I want to make sure that we're delivering the best care possible and creating great relationships with every patient. So if you ever in the future decide to leave, let's just set up just a very casual exit interview so I can therefore better myself, better my team, so we can serve people at the highest level. How does that go over at the beginning of the care rather than after the fact when they quit? So if you arrange that early, that's a huge, huge practice builder and builds incredible rapport with your patients. Next one is manage your energy. And notice this says manage your energy and not your time. So start to identify the time wasters in your life. And I guarantee all of you are going to have some. So whether it's Netflix or whether you're a sports watcher, and like I am, and hey, full admission here, I love sports and I have to limit the time that I watch sports. I'd love to watch sports every day, but I have to basically say no. And I allow myself certain times through the week to watch sports. Whether you're scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or on Facebook Reels, whatever that is, think of the time and energy that is robbing you from the things that really are important. So choose education over entertainment. That will help you get better. Have a solid bedtime and a solid wake time. Most of us are just zombies through the day. We're walking around in a brain fog because we don't have a consistent schedule. And if we can get into this consistent circadian schedule, then our energy starts to serve us rather than be robbed from us. Practice crystal clean nutrition. So ask yourself right now, is my nutrition as good as it should be? You have to be the leader in your practice for your, well, not just your practice, but your family, your team, and your patients. So you need to be on a good nutrition plan, and not to mention the energy that's going to provide you when you're eating very, very crystal clean. Make fitness your priority. And here's a big thing is don't worry about spending money on two things, fitness and personal growth. So have an unlimited budget for personal growth. So whether it's going to a seminar, whether it's getting coaching, whether it's buying that book that you need to better yourself, that self-development book, whatever that is, have an unlimited budget for that. That is an investment into you, and you can't invest enough money into you to get yourself to a higher level. So have an unlimited budget for that. And I would even say, work out a budget for your team. Work out a budget for your team to have some personal development as well. Be incompetent. So again, what does this mean? Well, be incompetent means when you hire great people and you empower them with your vision and your mission, and then you let them do the work, good things happen. So have this feeling in your heart that you want to help the people in your office. Your team is there to support you. They're there to support the patients that come into your office and share your vision. Help them get wealthy. Help them get rich. Have a mission for them to get rich. So you getting busier not only serves the people in your community and not only serves you and your family, but it serves your team. So if you don't have some sort of a system in place or a bonus structure or something for your team, that's something we need to talk about, because your team needs to be along for the ride. You need to incentivize them. And yes, I know many of them are going to say, no, we just like working here and we're not worried about the money. Hey, everybody needs to be prioritized in some way, and everybody needs to be rewarded for the time and effort that they put in. So have the system in place. Be patient with results and impatient with action. Many of us get caught in this daily hamster wheel of procrastination. And procrastination is one of the biggest killers of success. Indecision is just on the same category as poverty. So we got to start making some decisions. And I would say even a good decision that goes bad is better than no decision that keeps us where we're at. So start making decisions. I know you guys have goals, you have things you want to change. What are you waiting for? Just make the decision, go in that direction. If it doesn't work out, make another decision, go in a different direction. But you need to start making change and start taking action. So be impatient with action. And if you're not reaching your goals, you have to ask yourself, is this a people problem or is this a process problem? And in most cases, it's a process problem, right? So if you're complaining or if you're not getting the efforts out of your staff or out of your team, or if you're not getting the results you want to get and you're thinking, gosh, this might be a team problem, look at the processes first. If your processes are dialed in and you know that everything's running the way it should be running as far as processes, but there's a person that's not able to keep up, that's the time to replace them. So simple rules with congruency. I have really been on this kick for congruency lately. And it mostly for my own life, to make sure that what I am doing, what I am saying, what I am teaching, what I'm talking with my spouse, what I'm talking with my kids, the way that I act, everything I need to fall into line because I want to be successful in every aspect of my life. So I'm really, really trying hard to identify incongruencies in my own life. And I know how much that has opened my eyes, and I know how much that has helped me with certain things. So I'm going to say to all of you is that challenge yourself to look for these incongruencies. So here's the big thing about incongruencies. So incongruencies, they say no to your long-term goals. So if you have a long-term goal, but there is an incongruency in your life, in your practice, the way you deliver chiropractic, in your relationships, whatever that is, it will destroy that long-term goal. So saying yes to an incongruency, so allowing that incongruency to exist, keeps you on the hamster wheel of failure. Saying no to an incongruency may eliminate short-term gain. Okay, it may eliminate short-term gain. So there's things that you're doing in practice that might be making you money, but they're incongruent with your core values. So it may be tough to eliminate them, but it does create a path for long-term success. So, like I said, saying no sometimes is the first thing you need to do to create success in the other direction. But saying no to a congruency keeps you in a comfort zone. And I like to call that the comfort zone of mediocrity. But saying yes to a congruency, when you identify that congruency or that action that is in line with your goals, that's in line with your core values and your vision, it's hard to get yourself on that path. You want to listen, you want to look good, you want to be fit, you want to get six-pack abs. It's tough to work to get up at 5 in the morning and work out for an hour before you go to the office. It's tough to do that. But once you commit to doing that and make that a regular thing, it sets you on the path of success and it sets you on the path of your dreams. So really start to pay attention to that, because that is the biggest waster of your time, is living with incongruencies. And the last thing is number 10, realize you can do anything. You guys have the ability to do anything you want and you've heard this before, when you set your mind to it, when you apply yourself, you can do anything. But here's the big caveat to that. Rich people buy time. Poor people, on the other hand, they buy things. They buy stuff. Ambitious people buy skills. And that's why I said have an unlimited budget for personal growth and fitness. Lazy people buy distraction. So really pay attention to that and try to figure out what category you're in that statement, or in those 4 statements, or certain aspects of your life are in those 4 statements. And once you start to identify those things and bring them into your reality, bring them into your conscious mind, you can start taking the steps to change them. So love you guys. Hopefully that is helpful.